Hello, my name is Amy, and I'm depressed. And until recently, my parents didn't even believe me. Since I became a teenager, I was always a bit sad. But for the past few years, it grew into something more. Until recently, I couldn't understand what it really was. Most of the time, I was feeling so exhausted and miserable. Even getting out of bed was hard. I felt like there was no point in anything. I didn't care about my grades or my friends. It was like nobody cared about me and nothing interested me. I spent my evenings watching TV shows and crying because the world seemed like such a bad place. At some point, I realized that I was depressed. I didn't want to believe it at first because nowadays everyone says they're depressed. But I couldn't run away from the truth anymore. So I tried to explain it to my parents. I thought that they would understand, or at least try to, but that wasn't the case. My dad said, "Kids are so soft nowadays. Nobody was depressed back in my day." And my mom said, "It's all in your head, sweetie. You just have to be more positive." Honestly, it made me feel even more miserable because I couldn't even talk to my parents. I had friends, but they clearly didn't want to listen to me anymore. I don't blame them, because it was really annoying to listen to me talk about my depression all the time. I checked online communities on depression, and people recommended me going to a psychiatrist. I asked my parents many times, explaining how important it was for me. And eventually, they agreed, although they didn't want to. I felt hope for the first time in a long while. So I went to the doctor with my parents. He was an older man, and he was very weird. He didn't even look at me, and was very uninterested in what I had to say. I explained my situation, but he just kept asking me the same questions about school and stress, and in the end, he just said that I was just tired from school and needed some rest. I was shocked, but my parents were basically happy about his verdict. To their credit, they really did try to make me feel better. They let me skip a few days of school and have a bit of fun. Only, I really didn't want to have fun. I didn't want to do anything except stay in my bed and cry. After I returned to school, everything got even worse. Teachers were angry at me for not doing homework and not paying attention in class. But I didn't really answer, so they just stopped bothering me. The same with my classmates. They didn't pay attention to me because I was always sitting alone, staring out the window, or reading a book or something. At this point, I started to believe that my parents were right, and I just had to be grateful for what I had. So I tried to start talking with people and to study a bit better. But I just didn't have the strength to do that. One day, my dad got angry at me for being ungrateful and spoiled. He said, "You don't want to talk to us. You don't want to study. Tell me, what do you want?" I stared at him because I didn't know what to say, because I didn't want anything. He kept going, and I couldn't take it anymore. So I started to cry. Loudly. I never cried like that. It was always silent weeping in my room. But this time, it's like I had a mental breakdown. While I was crying, I said a lot of stuff like, "I'm worthless. I don't even feel like a person. I don't know how to do anything, and I never will be better." It was only a part of the things I said. Most of them were way worse. My parents were shocked because before, I was very quiet and calm, and it was the first time when they heard about my real feelings. After a few days, my mom came into my room and said, "I talked with Dad, and we want to believe you. What can we do for you?" I think it was the first time in a while when I felt something good happen to me. I asked them if we could try another psychiatrist this time. They agreed. New psychiatrist was a younger man. He was very attentive to me and asked a lot of questions. But he actually listened to my answers. I told him everything I felt all this time, and it was so liberating to finally find a person in real life who would listen to me. Eventually, he gave me a lot of tests, and after some time, he diagnosed me with chronic depression. My parents couldn't believe that at first, but I could see how worried they were, and it was a nice feeling. Like I wasn't crazy, and it wasn't all in my head. Now, I take antidepressants, and my depression won't go away anytime soon, but I do feel a little bit better, but I still have a long way to go. I know that many of you feel the same, and many of you feel alone and like something is wrong with you. If you do, then try to seek help as fast as possible. And know that you are not alone. What are you struggling with? Please share your stories in the comments.